Bitcoin update. We're going to start off on the lower time frame so you know what to focus on for the next several hours, the rest of today. And then we'll zoom out so you can know what to watch for this weekend ahead and the weeks ahead. So if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. If you want more content than what you see on YouTube, more help navigating the markets, join our private Telegram through Patreon, linked below. So let's get right to it. The hourly chart for Bitcoin, right? Trending sideways after that kind of whipsaw effect back during the Binance FUD, then immediately back to the upside, and now we're trying to find our equilibrium, holding resistance at the 200 EMA here, right? Here's one back on Thursday, and then again just a handful of minutes ago even, and rejection still. So we need to be closing above that with a few candles here on the hourly chart, and then maybe we can start to work our way up. But until then, it is resistance until proven otherwise. So watch that for the rest of today. If we come down, right, if we continue rejection, you just want to count your steps here, right? Here's your initial lows right here, 26,460. And then if we break that, the odds of us coming back down to test our ultimate low, kind of 26.1 area, just goes up, right? Those are your odds. All you have is odds in crypto, nothing guaranteed, right? So step one, if we come down, 26,450 area. Step two, 26,150 area. And if we break that, you guessed it, back down to these local lows here, right? But on the upside, right, say we do close a couple here, right? Depending on when you watch this video, you might be able to go back and look and see what we did. Right, so step one, same thing, right? You want to look at the previous highs, right? Till 26.9. If we can do that, then this will be the bigger one, right? 26.2, 26.3. This will be huge, right? This will be big on the hourly chart because, right, you could just put it on the closing prices, makes it a little bit cleaner to draw our zone here, right? So this is what we're getting. You're on a lot of area here, right? And then you put it back on candles. And then you can see this has been hit many times over this hourly chart, going all the way back to, late May here, right? We're in May now. That's so 10 days ago, right? 10 days we've been unsuccessful in getting above 27.2, 27.3 area. So if we do that, right, keep in mind this is a short time frame. We're looking at a potential breakout on the bigger time frames. So as we're looking at an uptrend here on the bottom. And then we have a resistance zone, so maybe an ascending wedge, so to speak. So in the coming days, maybe the weekend ahead, we do something like this. Say we break out on this 200 line, then we maybe do a bullish retest back, work our way up. And then, towards the weekend, right, we have Saturday, Sunday area in this area, and then maybe we can get that move to higher highs, right? So that's what, be watching for the upside to the downside. We're looking at both here, right? You always want to look at bullish and bearish scenarios, and then you can, you can do what you want, right? But anyone that's not presenting both sides of the coin is doing them and you an injustice, okay? So that's the 1 hour. Let's zoom out to the daily, see if we can get a bigger picture here, right? So there's a couple things I want to address here. First, nice move, double wick candles, right? The down and then the up, right? I think we're familiar with that at this point. The 200 day EMA right down here at 25.2. That is also where the 20 to 200 week is at 25.2. So 25.2 major support down there. We've covered this in a multitude of videos. We can go down here and still be a-okay, right? Our breakout zone on the daily is also kind of the zone on the daily and the weekly, right? This kind of 25 area all the way down to 24.3, our breakout zone. This becomes much more clear on the weekly, which we'll look at here shortly. But what I want to address, and I've seen a lot on Twitter, is this head and shoulders that played out, right? You can make this easier. We'll just do this briefly here. So here's our head, right? Shoulder, head. Let's learn our body parts here, right? So the head and shoulders, just to illustrate briefly. And then I've seen a lot of people talking about we have to play this out yet. We haven't played this out. Well, we have, and we're going to show you why right now. So you can, and then also the necklines are the most objectively drawn that you can do, right? There people draw this in a multitude of ways. So I've seen down here, right? And this is okay, right? This is okay, right? You got a kind of rejection here, but what about this guy, right? So you can also, just like zones, not a definitive line, you can use kind of a zone for a neckline too at times, because you want to include everybody, right? We're all inclusive here. We got people that, draw it this way, people that draw it this way. And then how do you measure where your target would be if this breaks down? Well, I'm glad you asked. You take your head, right? Yeah, draw it down to your neckline. So depending on which one you're taking here, right? Let's just do that one, right? There you go. And then you want to measure that from where it breaks down. So we're doing the first line here. So if you take it from the first line, measured, move down, roughly 25.2. It gets you kind of right there, right? So, 25.2, do we have to go down there? Like you can see how we haven't done that yet. Well, you could take the wicks. You can also measure the head from that as well. But if you're measuring from the closes, go to the closes. If you're measuring from the wicks, go to the wicks, right? But loosely fit, you could see there's an argument to be made that we've already kind of run that course. And time will tell. But if we're taking it from that line, that's roughly where we go. If we're taking it from the bottom line, maybe we have a little bit more to go here. So we're looking at this 24/7 still keeps us in the green zone on the macro scale. Could we go down a little bit more? Sure. But the target is arguably already met, depending on where you draw this. Even at the worst case scenario, 24/7-ish area, I would say that could be loosely met as well, right? These don't have to hit to the exact number or dollar. Just the area is give you a generalized target. So going to 25.3 and saying that we have to go to 24/7, I would say you're kind of nitpicking a little bit. But to say that this hasn't played out yet, it has, right? Loosely fit and a generalization. Okay, so just wanted to address that. I've seen a lot of people talking about that. So that is the daily play out. So there you go. Hopefully you learned something there on that one. But looking at this daily chart, right? What are we liking and disliking? Well, I like that we're above the 200. We're creeping above the 100. But what I don't like is that we're in a downtrend, right? We're making lower highs here and lower lows. And we're below a multitude of moving averages, right? I like prices above all moving averages if you're going to be, the ultimate bull. So I'm still, cautiously optimistic here. If you zoom out enough, right, we are in an uptrend, right? This is the breakout uptrend of the bear market back here and new phase one of the bull. But are we in our actual lows yet? I'm not so sure. Right, because of that head and shoulders, right, we could potentially come back down to low 25s, high 24s, something like that. The wicks can go anywhere, just like we did, back in this guy on the weekly chart, right? Let's zoom out to there real quick and see what I'm talking about, right? Let me get rid of this volume. It's a little noisy down here. There we go. So this wick right here is what I'm talking about, this weekly candle. Let me zoom in. Right, this wicks can go anywhere. So could we look at what candle we're shaping up now, right? We've already wicked down seemingly right to that 200 week, which is still at that 25.2 area. But that zone that we looked at on the daily chart, right, we're looking kind of right in this area. There's our macro support zone. This is huge, right? We shouldn't be closing any candles below this from a TA perspective. If we do, we're still generally okay as long as we're not closing below our weekly lows, right? Put on closing prices, right? Here's your lows that you need to be watching out for on the macro scale. But from a TA perspective, once you break out, right, a bullish retest to this level, so you can see how we're not quite tested there on the closing levels. Maybe we get a closing candle around this area and then a wick a little bit lower, right? I could see that happening. And if we get a wick 23, 20, I mean, who knows, right? Who knows? You can't time these wicks, but wicks can go anywhere. But closing candles should not be closing below this, not only for this zone, not only for this breakout, but also our highly favorite Gaussian channel. This, I just had a question answered on this on my YouTube. One of the questions was, how can you say, let me first address what I was going to say. The Gaussian channel, the weekly median line has historically never been closed back below once we've broken above after a bearish phase, right? So now we're breaking above it. Here's our first close in the high part, right? You can see these candles flip, right? Bearish below. Once you start getting to this upper tier of this Gaussian channel, we're on the weekly, mind you, that's bullish, right? That's why they turn neon green. And Bitcoin has never closed a weekly candle back below that median line once we've closed above it, besides the pandemic, right? That was the the address of the video. So I had a question like, we've closed many candles below the weekly median line over the past year. You missed the very important part where after the phase and after the bearish phase and we close back above it, we don't close back below it. Okay, so hopefully that addresses that. So not only do we have this zone that is major support, we also have this on our side, which historically has been bullish once we've closed above it. So as of this week, it's still falling, right? So I made a video on that a couple days ago on, my future projections. So watch that one if you haven't already, about, some TA and general levels to the upside and downside where I think we could be going for the rest of the year. That was just, I believe that was Wednesday's video. So check that one out. This is falling, but as of right now, 24,864. That's that median line. We should not be closing below that. This is also right in the middle of this major support zone. So are you seeing where we're at here, right? Don't try to time the tops and bottoms of any kind of market cycle. You generally want to try to get in near the bottom. If you could argue that 26.7 is near a bottom, whether or not we go to 24.9 or wick to 23, right? In the grand scheme of things, if Bitcoin's going to 100K plus, in the next, decade, is it going to matter if you bought at 26 or 23? Of course not, right? But the day-to-day, right, everyone tries to nitpick and try to time these tops and bottoms, and usually you miss it in a bigger way. So if you miss this part, don't fumble the ball again, right? If you come down here, recognize where we are, major support levels, and that is that, as they say. So watch for that. A big thing you want to be watching on indicator-wise, right? We've seen all this. Let's go look at a major indicator to be watching. The RSI, not for where it generally is right now and what the structure is. You're watching for this zone that has been important historically for Bitcoin in its entirety, an entire history, right? When Bitcoin, I would like to draw this a little bit better. When Bitcoin is above that line, I mean, you can pull this up on the BLX and go all the way back to the starting point. When Bitcoin is holding above, low 50s, it's bullish. If it breaks below it, it becomes bearish on the weekly RSI only, right? So, I mean, you can go back and look at bear markets. They're all down here. Bearish is always down here. Bearish, whole bear cycle. Once we get above here, it's bullish, right? You got you can just go study this chart and it becomes blatantly obvious. Why am I saying this? Well, look at where we are. We can't be going a whole lot lower and having our RSI maintain up here. Could we potentially get that wick and do like a head fake down, kind of like we did right here, where we got a little bit of hope and then, sink it back down? Yeah, we could do kind of the reversal of that. But you can't be messing with anything below 50, really below 51. I mean, you can't really, we shouldn't be taking these lows out, right? If we do, it'd have to be a brief and almost immediate recovery. So this is why I'm saying this now. This is highly important for the history of Bitcoin. We cannot have the RSI dipping back down here or we're in probably some bigger trouble, right? So all this stuff should start to add up, right? The weekly indicators. What I do like is the on-balance volume is trending up, right? That is a good signal. Well, however, my concerns are we're losing momentum on the weekly. We've been losing it since all the way back in late April. Not a big deal, but we need to turn this around. Hopefully we do that in the next, week or two. We'll see where we close this week. More importantly, the Fisher transform is still trending down. So we're going to need to see a huge move back to the upside for this to bounce. Usually the weeklies bounce. So if we get a move to 28, 29K in the next, week or two, we could see that. Otherwise, this is still running down. So Fisher transform on the weekly is a huge one to be monitoring. You can get obviously the heads up turnarounds on, the smaller time frames, the 3-day, the daily. But for the weekly, I'm still waiting for a bounce there. If we get that, it's probably a good night, and we're probably well on our way to, higher highs here. So watch for that. I think it's going to remain relatively calm over the next, several weeks here. But Bitcoin can surprise and do what the hell it wants anytime it wants. I think we're all aware of that by now. So let's get to our crypto fear and greed index. We're deadlocked, right? We're 50-50. We're just kind of trending sideways, right? Name of the game, head fakes up and down, so not much there. Our Bitcoin season index, right? You need to be monitoring this, blockchaincenter.net, or I try to do updates, regularly here. We're still low, peak Bitcoin season. So if you're wondering why your altcoins aren't doing nothing, this is why. Bitcoin is reigning dominance here. I put a couple Bitcoin dominance, charts up yesterday on Twitter. Go check some of those out. Bitcoin dominance. I think it's going to likely see 50s here. I mean, look at the weekly Gaussian channel has just turned green. I think there's a real case to be made of somewhere in this area for Bitcoin dominance. If that happens, right, the altcoin markets are still not going to move as Bitcoin is moving, right? So just a brief touch up on that. Let's get to our quote of the day. Hope is like the sun, which, as we journey towards it, casts the shadow of our burden behind us. Damn hope. Hope. Right? Car of the day. Lamborghini. You got that part. Did you get what it is? This is a rare one. It's a little bit rare. You're like, it kind of looks similar to an Aventador, but is it? No, kind of. It kind of looks similar to a Gallardo up front, but is it? No, but kind of. It's a crossover from a kind of a Gallardo and an Aventador. It's the Revuelto. They made not very many of these. You're not likely to ever see one of these out in public. Maybe at a car show. Maybe they did. They made very few, right? And this is kind of a crossover before the Aventador kind of broke out. So the Revuelto, right? That's all I got on that. And I think it's Grigio. It's like a matte Grigio, so it's a matte paint. Pretty sick. All right, that's all I got for you. Lamborghini Revuelto. Never seen one in real life. I've never seen one in real life. Been to a lot of car shows. Seen some multi-million-dollar cars. Never seen one of these. If you have, send me a post-it. Send me a picture. All right, I'll see you on the next one. Have a great weekend. If you have any questions on this video, want to see something else, happy to do it. If you want to request more stuff, just join our Telegram. Try it out. It's $35 a month, but I think it's well worth it. If you don't, no hard feelings. You can try it out and then drop off after a month. I do multiple daily updates every day in there. You have the ability to ask anything you want. I'm there every day, right? I'm going there right now. I'll see you there.